Yes, our buddy Jackson, the Jacksonian. We appreciate you being here, man. As always, 145, just a mere 145 days until kickoff of the 2004 USC season against that other three-letter team, LSU. Much anticipated game that we will dissect throughout the offseason into the summer. Absolutely. We'll get some good LSU guests on here to break down the LSU side of things. And we got Slap Happy. Thank you so much for the 5 spot there. Fight on, ladies, as we got 3 players today.
Well, I would have to say that the season is coming faster than I even can imagine. Usually it seems like a long time, but it just seems like week after week, either if it's in recruiting like Slap's talking about, or if it's going on with with the rumors and speculation of losing key pieces to defense, or if we're picking up amazing coaches, or we're stealing another lineman from Georgia. I mean, it's been a lot going on this offseason, and right around the corner is the spring game. And once you hit that spring game, it just seemed time flies before we get to that until we get, because then you have the end of April is going to be the transfer period, right? So you get that spring transfer portal. Now remember, that's the time, about 2 weeks worth of time, where they don't have to choose their team. They just have to declare for the portal during those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so, but that's where we're going to get our list of names. And regardless of what happens with Bear Alexander, USC is going in and they're going to go for some defensive tackles. They're going to shore up some guys. Speaking of which, you guys, I will get to the people that I've committed to USC, but there's a name of a running back that's been a pretty damn hot running back in the Pac-12. Damian Martinez entered the transfer portal, and this guy is one hell of a running back. And I'm very happy with our running backs. Very, very happy with the running backs that we have. But this is a guy that rushed over 1,500 yards, I think, last year. In the Pac-12, just a stout big guy. I think he's like 230. About 6 foot 230. So Damian Martinez was one of the better, if not one of the best running backs in the Pac-12 last year. He has entered the transfer portal. USC right now only has 4 scholarship running backs on the roster.
And for him, I will speculate to a certain extent. I don't know the reasons why exactly, but having been relegated to now what is Group of 5 football at Oregon State, you got to think that may have played into it. They're basically playing what amounts to a Mountain West Conference schedule, and he no longer has his head coach in Jonathan Smith, and he has a ton of options, as Tim just outlined. He's a tremendous running back.
I think at certain positions, I think running back would be one of them, given that USC, I think USC is in a pretty good spot with its running back room right now. I would say for Martinez and other high-profile running backs or other players at certain positions where USC doesn't have an especially acute need, the main thing is let's just hope he doesn't land at a chief rival, at a chief opponent in the Big Ten. That would be the main thing. If Washington gets him, if Oregon gets him, if Ohio State gets him, if Penn State gets him, that would be a particularly bad outcome. So for some prospects, you want to have him. It's really acutely urgent to get a specific prospect, defensive line, offensive tackle. But at running back, I think the main thing with Damian Martinez and others, just don't land at a chief competitor in the Big Ten Conference.
I would be shocked if he landed at Ohio State, especially, but also Michigan or Penn State. Now, Michigan State, with his coach headed that direction, and also his quarterback, who played part-time, accounted for 7 touchdowns last year in Aiden Childs, that's a possible destination. Also, Ohio State running back Dallin Hayden, who received very little work in his 2 years with the Buckeyes, but when he did, he was really good. He's in the transfer portal as well, so it would be good for USC for him to land elsewhere outside the Big Ten.
All right. So Slap Happy, contributed to us. So thank you, Slap Happy, for that. And Slap Happy is telling us in the chat, let's talk about new players yesterday or today. So let's talk about the new receiver that USC just brought in, Romero Eisen from Baltimore. And, just in terms of height and weight, he is thin, he's small. So what does that tell you? That he's a speed merchant. They're not getting him as the big boy wide receiver to win 50-50 contested catches in the air. No, this is the guy who is going to be a possession receiver, and he's going to be a speed guy who really tries to clear out space in a defense, within Lincoln Riley's larger scheme. So this is a move for speed and electricity on offense. So like that is the particular niche that Romero Eisen brings to USC. Slap happy.
Yeah, he's a sub 10-9 100 guy. So you're right. He's like a speed merchant, and he's great after the catch. Basically, you get the ball in his hand in space, and and he's athletic too. So he's that perfect combination. You get the ball to a guy who's athletic, can make a move and break an ankle, then turn on the burners and break some angles, and then you got yourself a touchdown. So yeah, I think that's really what they're looking at with Eisen. I did not know much about him. I watched a little bit of film, but he's that guy that can take the top off the defense. He's that guy that if you give him some space, he catches the ball in stride, makes a move, he could be gone. So yeah, that's a great pickup by Lincoln Riley.
And so who is the next addition that we need to review?
Well, the two running backs that came in on Sunday, those were two more additions. And Tim's written a lot about USC. When USC goes for running backs, goes to the state of Texas. I think that's been a pretty consistent theme.
But I mean, if we think back, going back to like the Sean Walters, and some of these guys that just have been prolific running backs for USC. Texas has always been a great source of, San Diego and Texas just seems like where USC loves, of course, the Bay Area for one guy, but we're not going there. But I mean, there's certain places, and it's just really more recently than anything, USC, just take a look at the list of the top 20 or top 15 all-time rushers at USC. You're going to see a lot of dudes that played high school ball in the Lone Star State. So, just continue to load up on Texas running backs. I'm excited. I mean, Brian Jackson's a really big guy that we got this year already on campus. And then we've talked about Amarian Peterson and Quentin Joyner. Just, that's when you said, Matt, that we're not worried about the running back room. I'm not at all. And nor do I think that Damian Martinez would come to USC. But if I did, I'd just say, man, add a guy like him to the rosters, it would be something sweet. That's all my point was. I'm very happy with what we do have on the roster. And obviously I'm leaving out Woody Marsh, who's the one guy on the roster that plays running back that is not a native of Texas. But again, he also is the number 5 all-time receiver in SEC history and the number 1 receiver in Michigan and Mississippi State history. So we got some good backs coming in.
And I just want to reiterate one key point that, we saw Travis Dye as the main meal ticket guy in 2022. We saw Marshawn Lloyd as the main meal ticket guy in 2023, with, the other guys in the running back room not getting large numbers of touches. This is a year, like I believe this is a year to start to go buffet style and really spread it around in the running back room, giving different guys all a solid amount of touches, but not giving one guy the large majority of touches. That it's really time, if Lincoln Riley is emphasizing defense and toughness and ball control and shortening games, if all these things are coming together as part of a philosophical shift, then that should also mean not just more running the ball, but specifically giving more guys more opportunities so that you keep everyone fresh and you're not overly leaning on one guy or one style of running to do the work for you. Having more of a balanced and committee-like approach at running back, that much more necessary for USC this year.
We have pushed well over 600 people watching us total, about a third of you or less watching on YouTube. So keep in mind, we appreciate your viewership regardless of where you are, but to ask questions, make comments, and see those comments and questions posted there on the screen, please join us on YouTube. But we are stretching out and reaching out to try to grab an audience outside of YouTube as well. And as Tim is pointing out, please subscribe here at the Voice of College Football USC. It costs you absolutely nothing. We do appreciate it. So a little payback for what we deliver here at the Voice of College Football. Please subscribe.
And did I promise? I don't know. We'll ask the chat then. If you guys in the chat, if you guys want to turn this into a call-in show, we have a little bit of time, very little time. I don't know if we're gonna have time. We actually covered it pretty harsh here. Chat, is there anyone out there that would want to weigh in on the Bear Alexander stuff really quickly? I guess we could run to those. We actually have a super chat here, Mark, while I'm doing that. This is from our good friend Gary and Dana Point. Gary, thank you so much for a $10 super chat. Appreciate you, like, as always. Thank you so much for being here. First off, supporting the channel, but also doing it financially. We really, really appreciate you. I think I scared Matt off, Mark. I don't think he wants to take phone calls. He's like, more phone calls. I take phone calls to those guys on Friday. I don't need any more of these phone calls. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe we could take. We have time, Matt. It's up to you. Do you guys want to take a couple calls here at the end of the day?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, so the thing is going to be, it's not going to be like our normal show, guys. If we do this, you're going to come on quick, either have a point or a question, really quick. We're going to turn through them. But, if not, we could probably just call it a day. But I could switch over to the other one with the phone number on it. USC did pick up and on 247, they call them crystal balls, a predictor. And we're talking about, Coach Henderson, we're talking about defensive linemen, but Trajan Odom from North Carolina, 5'6", 275, 4-star on the 247 composite, picked up a prediction to come to USC. You were talking about a guy that was born in here in Southern California in Inglewood, and grew up in Orange County in elementary school. Has lived in North Carolina, but he kind of considered himself a California guy. He'll be for that big official visit weekend on the 21st. So keep your fingers crossed for that. Again, I think that in the long run, as long as Coach Henderson, and I don't think he's going to be here in the long run, but as long as Coach Henderson's here, we're going to have top-notch defensive linemen. That's one thing, regardless of what happens going forward, that you're not going to have to worry about.